Okay, let's get started by creating a project and then a class and then a test class for our user tests. So to do that, I'm going to go up here, and I'm using IntelliJ and Java. The steps might be a little different depending on the IDE that you have. So I'll say new project, and I'm not going to check any of those things. I'm going to hit next. I'm not going to create it from a template, so I'll create next, and then I'm just going to give it a name. I'm going to call this the add program, and I'll hit finish. And I would like to open it in this window, and I'm ready to add my program, the class that I want to be testing. So I'll go down here to the source, and I can right click, select new, and then Java class, and then I'm going to give this class a name. I'm just going to call it add. Okay, and now I'm ready to add my method, public static int add, and I will pass it to int arguments a and b, and this method will just return the sum, so a plus b. Okay, and so here's my function or my method add, and I'm ready to write my test class. And to write a test class, you have to be on the name of the class, and then on a Mac it's Option Enter, and on a Windows it's Control Enter, and then you're going to select Create Test and hit OK, and make sure the testing library is JUnit 5, so select that if it's not selected, and then you may have to hit fix. And then hit OK, OK, and this has created my test class. So you can see over here the class name is add, and then the test class will always be the class name with the word test at the end. And so I'm ready to start writing my user test. And so I want to make sure that that add function I created is working properly. And so to do that, anything in red, and this might be different depending on the IDE, but anything in red, you have to import or resolve that error. So if I did Option Enter again, it's going to ask me if I want to add the library, and I do. And so you should see that go away. So there are things called annotations, and those are instructions to the compiler. And one of the annotations is an instruction to let the compiler know that this is going to be a user test. And the annotation is at test. And you can scroll through and check out the other annotations as well. And so after that, that says that the method following this annotation is going to be a user test method. And so now I'm ready to write my method. So it'll be a void method, and there are naming conventions that we will follow, and you can read that lesson on naming conventions, but for now I'm just going to do a quick test add. Okay, and so that's the name of my user test, and I'm going to be using the assert equals assertion, and I'll tell you more about assertions in the next video below, but you'll use an assertion to test your code. And if the assertion name tells you what you're testing, so I'm going to assert that these things are equal. And if they're equal, then the test will pass. If they're not equal, the test will fail. Well, there might be an assert not equals, right? And for the test to pass, the two things would have to be not equal. So pay attention to the name of the assertion, and it will tell you what you are trying to test. So I'm trying to test if these two things are equal. And the parameters would be the expected value and then the actual value. So for example, if I expect to see 4, and I'm going to call that function called add. So it's in the add class, and it's called add right here. and I can pass it to numbers 1 and 3. So this test will pass if these two things are equal. Okay, and so to run this test, you'll see this little green arrow popped up. If I have more test cases in this class, I can run them all using the double arrows. But for now, I'll just run this one test case. And when I run it, you can see at the bottom that the test cases passed, right? They each have a green check mark. So that's good. But let's make it fail so that you can see what that looks like. So let's say I add the numbers 1 and 6. Okay, and I'm expecting to see 4. Well, the assert equals should fail. This test, user test should fail, right? Because they are not equal. So I'll run that. And you can see that the test did fail. And the output will give you a lot of information. It's expecting 4, but it actually got a 7. And then it'll tell you exactly where the error was. I mean, I can see where the error is right now, but if this was a large test class with a lot of test cases in it, then you could just click on that and it will take you right to the line that failed.